Just a disclaimer, guys. If you're wondering why this post looks so low quality, it's because I had to screen record it in the editing app. So if you don't know, YouTube has a kind of like their own type of CapCut thing, and it's called YouTube Create. I used it to make this video, but because it is 6 minutes, they will not allow me to export it, and it's the most annoying, frustrating thing ever. And yeah, so if you're just wondering why the quality is just so bad, that's why. If it gets fixed or whatever, then I'll delete this and just re-upload it. But yeah. Yo, webheads, what's up? And today I'm going to kind of discuss what I would do if I designed my own Spider-Man game. But before we get into that, I just want to say again, I want to say thank you all for 500 subscribers. It's insane. I never thought I would get there and everything like that. To a lot of people, 500 subs might not seem like a lot, but trust me, imagine 500 people coming up to you in real life. So yeah, that's a lot of people. Anyways, let's get into this video. Now, like I said, right, I want to design my own Spider-Man games. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that the Spider-Man games we have are bad, but they lack a certain thing that I crave as a Spider-Man fan. And a prime example of that is the lack of Peter Parker stuff. Now, Insomniac Spider-Man games, they tried, but for me, they're just not enough. 2018 Spider-Man tried, and it was a good try. You know, there was a lot of kind of decent Peter Parker stuff to do in the base story, but it was really in the DLC where, you know, for an example, I think it was like the Silver Lining DLC, you could walk around as Peter Parker, and then you had the option to change suits. But majority of these games just really don't pay attention to that, and this is why I'm gonna kind of design my own Spider-Man game. So first off, this Spider-Man game would be a life sim. So for anybody who has played or experienced Persona 5, not just Royal, just any of the Persona games, just in general, I just use 5 because 5, in my personal opinion, is the best one. But in Persona 5, if you have never played it, Persona 5 is it's essentially like a life sim meets a whole bunch of other things. So for an example, during the day, you have to go to school, you have to attend school, and then after you're done school, you can either go into the dungeon, right, and level up and do all this stuff, or you can do like life sim elements in terms of, like, for an example, go to the movies, go to work, or, you know, hang out with your friends, etc., right? So prime example, you know, Peter could go to college, you could do all that stuff, and doing that would, you know, kind of help improve your Spider-Man life. You know, for an example, let's say you're taking like a science class or something like that, or you're doing experiments, and it would have the same stats as Persona, but obviously I would do it different. So every time you level up a stat, then Peter would have a better experience with Spider-Man. Maybe you could design web cartridges that can hold more webs, so that way you're not running out of webs. Now, yes, this Spider-Man game would have you run out of webs, bro. I'm tired of majority of these Spider-Man games not kind of thinking of that. Now I get it from a gameplay standpoint, it would kind of be annoying to run out of webs, but you also have to think of the character, right? And majority of the times, Peter runs out of web cartridges because he's not paying attention. And it's some of the most funniest stuff we have seen in the comics and Spider-Man the animated series, right? And I would have a crime alert, kind of like Spider-Man PS4, where, you know, Peter gets knowledge of what's going on in the city. Maybe it's a police scanner or whatever. And whatever you're doing, you might have to, let's say you're at a party with like MJ and your friends or whatever, right? And you have to dip the party, and then you might have to make an excuse when you come back to your friends on why you dipped or why you left the party. Maybe mid fight they call you and you have to kind of make an excuse while you're fighting whoever, right? Let's say, let's just use Rhino for an example. Let's say you're going up against Rhino and MJ calls you and asks, hey, where the hell did you go? Like, you know, you came to the party, you stayed for like 2 minutes, and then you ended up leaving, and then you have to make an excuse. And this game would have cyberpunk level dialogue, and in my personal opinion, I wouldn't necessarily say I'd want it to be like pre-selected speech, but it would definitely be a little better than cyberpunk in that terms of aspect. And yeah, you would also have jobs as well. Like maybe you take pictures of yourself for Jonah to make money, and that money could be used to, I don't know, maybe make suits or maybe just to upgrade your gear, right? Because we all know that Spider-Man is a brokey just like myself, but bro still needs money to upgrade his things or whatever, right? So that's where a job comes in. Don't worry, I didn't mean to scare you, all right? But that's where a job comes in. And maybe you're not just working for Jonah. Maybe Robbie needs pictures of New York, so you go around taking pics of New York. And it would definitely have a better camera system than Marvel's Spider-Man games. I love the camera system in that, but I feel like it could be utilized better. Maybe you can spin a web and maybe stick a camera to it, and you have maybe many disposable cameras. So while you're fighting crime, you can take pictures at any point in time for Jonah or maybe Robbie. And don't worry, for the people who like dating sims, yeah, Spider-Man is gonna have all of his love interests, minus Gwen Stacy. Because I don't think I'd want to put you guys through that of having to, you know, eventually do that, and then you get your relationship status maxed out with Gwen, and then 2 seconds later she gets capped by a goblin. Now, it would probably be like Cyberpunk. The love interest probably wouldn't really provide anything. They would just kind of just be like an aesthetic thing, I guess. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe and like this video. I really appreciate it. It helps me out. Y'all have a good rest of your day. Peace, bro.